Well, howdy, folks. Here we are, Vitruvian book review number 16. Man, this year is just screaming by. 16 weeks. Weeks. Can you tell I'm from Texas? 16 weeks. 16 weeks. 16 books. And this week, I have another good recommendation for you. High Performance Habits, How Extraordinary People Become That Way, by Brendon Burchard. Now, let me tell you something about Brendon Burchard. First of all, the guy is a marketing machine. He really is, because uh, I have seen him all over YouTube, Instagram. Just, you can't escape the guy. He has been chasing me down, just like kind of stalking me on the web, everywhere. And finally, I was like, okay, Brendon, I will give you a little bit of my time. He's written 6 books. It's the 6th of his books, but I didn't really know that much about Brendon Burchard. I do know that his name kept coming up, and it intrigued me because he's significantly younger than like Tony Robbins, but yet he gets to hang out with Tony Robbins. And I think Tony's actually mentioned him before, same as Dean DeGraziosi, who is Tony Robbins' partner on several projects, including the Knowledge Broker Blueprint and some things like that. And then like Lewis Howes and Oprah Winfrey has just raved about Brendon Burchard. And so I finally, as I realized, okay, this guy is obviously, he's got something going. And I don't know why I was hesitant. I mean, usually whenever someone has when I get the right pieces, right people saying the right things, I'm like, okay, let me check out their books or what they're writing. I'll subscribe to their newsletters or whatever the case may be. But I was kind of a late adopter to of Brendon Burchard's, but he kept coming up over and over and over on YouTube and some other social media platforms in particular, because the guy is a marketing machine. And but it's for good reason. I mean, the guy, he's not just a good marketer. He has some really good knowledge and data behind him. So the one of the things I did not know was that at his high performance research institute that he has, they have collected a ton of data. And I am all about uh, data on why people perform the way they do. What are the commonalities and the correlations between success and performance, and habits. And that's the cool thing about that I can actually say about this book. For it to be, I guess it would probably be classified in the self-help section or whatever, but it's very similar to not just not in content necessarily, although there is some crossover between like Carol Dweck's book Mindset and James Clear's book Atomic Habits, both of which I've reviewed on the channel here. But it's not a lot of hyperbole. It's not a lot of feel good rah rah at all. Uh, uh, Burchard's writing is very much data driven. And the cool thing is, he has so many high profile clients that he has worked with over the, I guess, almost 2 decades now, nearly 20 years, that he really approaches this from a very just poignant, matter of fact, easy writing and easy to consume style. And I was really impressed. And so, if you've been out on the interwebs and you've seen this guy, you've seen him talking, he's popped up in your YouTube feed or somewhere. That's who wrote this book. That's who the guy is. And I had never heard of him until like 3 years ago, I think, is whenever he came on my radar. But I just, it took me a long time to really give Tony Robbins the credibility that he deserves. And you've got to, some of you out there, you're like me, I'm sure, back in the day, guys like Tony Robbins kind of got a bad rap until now you realize he's had the staying power to be so successful for so long in the space of not self-help. It's more of performance and peak performance coaching. And the cool thing is, what Tony Robbins started way back when, actually going in learning the neuroscience, not trying to be a scientist, and has never put himself out there as any kind of a scientist. He's more of a student of the human mind and human performance. And I think that Dean DeGraziosi has done a great job of presenting himself as a student and then made himself a teacher by sharing the things he's learned. And I think that Brendon Burchard is definitely in that category. Lewis Howes has done that. You know, I was watching a deal today, and I mentioned the books because I'm reading nearly every book he's ever written. Um, Stephen Kotler, same thing. I mean, Stephen Kotler was a journalist, but now is an expert on flow, which automatically makes him somewhat of an expert on neuroscience and neurochemistry. And so I love the world that we're living in right now, where guys like Brendon Burchard can have a passion for helping people and for bettering himself, and then become a world-class expert on a subject matter without having to go spend 12 years at university becoming a scholar. You know, I mean, and so this book is, I highly recommend it. I've got a lot of notes in here I took, so obviously that, you know, a lot of it stuck out for me. Let's see here. Here's something that I took note of. Most people are terrible at this. Let's see. Underperformers, especially, are neglectful of the kinds of feelings they are experiencing or want to experience in life. They bumble into situations and allow those situations to define how they feel. High performers demonstrate a tremendous degree of emotional intelligence and what I call willful feelings. So, this is one of the things that I really took from the book. Okay, so Brendon Burchard does not take any action for granted. I mean, even to the extent of, like, when I get up from recording this review, I now, thanks to what I've, you know, read in this book, and you know, I absolutely have adopted as an everyday practice, I will stop and I will manage that transition so that whatever I do next, whatever the next task is, I want to have a purpose for it, and I want to decide how I want to feel. What do I want the outcome of that task to be? Like, for instance, I've got some administrative work that I've got to get knocked out after I finish after I get the recording this review. And so I'm not just going to click off this, get it out, get it on YouTube, and then immediately start that other task. Instead, I'm going to release everything that has to do with making this review, just kind of get into a relaxed state. And then I'm going to think about how I want to go about executing the next task. Also, now this is one of the things that I did adopt before I read it in the book, and it just was confirmed by Brendon Burchard, is I set a timer now for every single activity that I start. And Brendon says in the book, every time you sit your butt in a seat, set a timer. And I think that is highly, highly important, because if you don't, you need to keep moving. It keeps your energy level up. That's one of the things that he gives in here, is great tips on how to sustain and maintain high energy, a good mood, manage your emotions. Whenever you're like, I have to go help my mother-in-law move this weekend. Okay. And so it's funny because every time I was reading about, you know, what kind of mood do you want to bring into a situation, or what do you want others to feel whenever you walk into a room, you know, taking account of that, that's a social accountability for how you want others to react. You know, manage all of that. What kind of skills do you want to bring to wherever you're going? So I've been having to think to myself, what do I want to bring to that exercise of helping my mother-in-law move? Now, it would be very likely that I could go. I'm not looking forward to it. I don't like moving. Who does? I mean, my wife knows this. It's not like she's going to go, "Oh my God, you don't want to do this." No, there's nothing fun about moving someone. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the approach of, okay, first of all, I'm going to have a good attitude about it. I have the opportunity to really help someone that I love. In particular, it's the mother of someone I love more than anything else on this earth, which is my wife. So I'm going to focus on that. So that's what I get to bring to the table. Secondly, what do I want people to feel? Well, it's a moving situation. I know my wife can be pretty hardcore about organization, and she's a taskmaster. I know her mom. She's not so much that way. I don't know if these two could not be any different. So what I want to do is kind of not be the mediator. That's a little bit extreme, but I'm going to deliberately go in and try to bring light and sunshine and levity to the situation so that we get through it. We get the task done. I know I'm going on and on about helping my mother-in-law move, but that's one of the things that is brought up in the book. Not my mother-in-law moving, but having the mental awareness of what you're going to bring to every endeavor that you go to. It talks about building confidence, the importance of confidence, and how high performers have a lot of confidence. But where does the confidence come from? And almost all of them, it comes from being really good at a skill. Let's see here. Habits. Let's see. Habit 4. Let's just talk about, because he has the 6 habits that kind of drive everything. And I won't read all of them to you, but let's talk about the generating energy. Because look, I'm 46 years old. Energy consumption is or energy sustainability, or whatever you want to, energy conservation, I guess would be the best word to say, is something that I hold dearly these days. So let's go through this one. So personal habits, habit 2, which is generate energy. Release tension, set intention. Use transitions between activities to renew your energy. Do this by closing your eyes, practicing deep breathing, and releasing tension in your body and thoughts in your mind. Try to do this at least once every hour. Once you feel tension lift, set a clear intention for your next activity. Open your eyes and get to work with vibrant focus. I kind of relate this to, so in James Clear's book, Atomic Habits, one of the things that he talked about was always leaving things back the way you found them. All right. So, like if you get into your car, the best way to keep your car clean is to, every single time you leave your car, is to get any trash out, anything that doesn't belong there, everything that's out of place that doesn't belong in the car, get it out so that every time you get into the car, it is ready. It's a calm place. It's clean. It's in order every single time. We have this chair in our bedroom that my wife has taken over as kind of like a weird second closet. It just gets, we haven't sat in that chair in a long time because it's piled full of clothes. She's gonna get so mad at me. Thank goodness she doesn't watch my book reviews. But the idea here is this: it's the same thing. If you don't take the time to clear out your mind before you move from one transition to the other, by the end of the day, you've got little holdovers from task to task to task. And think about everything that we do on any given day. So I think that's great advice. So it's like, okay, I'm going to set everything aside, and that way whenever I approach this next task, I'm in order. My head is clear. It's ready for this task. I'm going to have the energy to perform at an optimal level. So very, very good advice. Overall, look, as far as habit forming, peak performance books, books on this, which is kind of my favorite topic. I'm always wanting to figure out better ways to do things. I highly recommend this book. It's very, and look, it's straightforward. The thing I do like about Brendon is he is not a quick, easy, kind of fix it guy. It's he goes deep. He very much says that, look, it's hard work. It's not easy. He tells his clients whenever he works with them, and I do this with my personal my performance clients, is like, look, this isn't going to be easy. I'm not here to help you figure out hacks and tricks. That's not it, because I just don't think that's sustainable. What I'm going to teach is hardcore discipline and the things that will work over the long haul that you will stick to. And that is one of the things I really respect about Brendon Burchard and his teaching. He has just a great story, also, and a great outlook on life. A little bit of backstory, if you don't know about Brendon's backstory. He had a terrible car wreck when he was 19 and nearly died, and basically came out of that and wanted to know how he could make a huge difference. He completely changed his life, and he's taken some very, very bold steps to that end. And so, and now is just wildly successful, considered by some the most influential personal performance coach in the country. I mean, and again, going back to the king of the hill, Tony Robbins. This guy, he's up there with Tony Robbins and all the greats. He will go down as one of the Jim Rohns, Zig Ziglar, Brendon Burchard. He's one of the he's in that company, and rightfully so. He's busted his butt. He's done his work, and in this case, he's written a good book that I recommend to you. And I'm glad that it was book number 16 in the Vitruvian reading list for 2021. I will definitely be reading some more of his books and probably take some of his classes. That's another thing too that I really took from this. You know, creating content like this is something. This is me starting. This is me trying to get the big wheel rolling on, like what Brendon Burchard did some 20 years ago. And if you are out there and you're wanting to start a business, if you want to be an entrepreneur, I know whenever I bought my first real estate company, there was no Facebook, there was barely MySpace, there was no Google, I don't think. And if it wasn't what it is today. There was no YouTube, and it was much harder. And the same thing, I respect Brendon Burchard because he was becoming an influencer without the platforms to influence like we have today, and has done really, really well. And it's encouraging to read a story like that for you and I. If you're wanting to hit a stride in something that's different, that's new, it's an endeavor that you thought, man, I just don't know how to get started. I don't know if I can do that. Best thing to do is get going. And he gives practical tips and insight on how to make that happen and how to create the habits that are sustainable over the long haul. So it was a good book. Highly recommend it. And with that, next, I'm finally going to review, because I'm going to read, I haven't read it yet, one of my virtual mentors. Right here, can you see that? Skip the Line by my boy, James Altucher. I am a total fanboy, I have to admit it, of James Altucher. I think that James Altucher, I've said this before, if he's not a polymath, he's at least worthy of the title modern day Renaissance man. He epitomizes a growth mindset in that he will just change his career on a dime. He's everything from a master. What's the master chess player? I can't remember which category he holds, but he's a master. He's not a grandmaster, I don't think, but he's a master, which he's a badass. And then he worked for HBO at one time. He's created television. He's got an incredible podcast. He's an author. He was a hedge fund manager. I mean, the list goes on and on. James Altucher is one of those guys that if something piques his curiosity, he will, and he said this, he will go turn it into a career. And Skip the Line, I know because I've listened to so much of his podcast, and then just reading his book Choose Yourself, which I highly recommend. I know what it is. It's like we don't have to wait anymore. Like this. There was a time whenever I would have to wait to get on a television show and hope to get in front of a camera to get to bring you my book reviews. Now I don't. Now I just have to put it out there and hope that you find it and hope that you find some benefit to the reads that I'm suggesting to you. I skipped that line. It's the same thing with a podcast. You don't have to wait to try to go get on some radio show anymore. Now you go create a radio show or go create a podcast. If the market likes it, they will reward you, and boom, you're off to the races. Self-publishing. You want to be an author? Go ahead, publish a book. Or like what I just talked about earlier, no longer do you have to be a neuroscientist to be able to speak intelligently on or write a book on or make a living influencing in the space of neuroscience. You can be like Stephen Kotler, you can be a journalist, and you can get your knowledge out there to the masses in a really quick, efficient way. And before long, become a master expert on the subject and respected, and skip the line. Don't have to do all the work that you once had to do. There's just a lot of workarounds these days, and I know James. I know some of the things that he has done that are probably in this book. Like he once tried to put together a GoFundMe account to buy Greenland, or was it Greenland or Iceland? I can't remember, but anyway, that's the kind of thing that he will do. And he's very entertaining and he's brilliant. So I look forward to reading that book and giving you guys my thoughts on that. But I can already tell you I'm going to like it. It's going to be a good review. And with that, hey, I'm going to put a link, which I don't think I've ever done that because, like I said, I'm stupid about this. I'm just now getting started on creating YouTube content and that sort of thing. I should have been doing this all along. I will put a link to the Vitruvianproject.com. Please consider signing up for the newsletter. All I do, it's weekly, where I tell you the other things I'm reading, research that I've done. And, I will actually read the research papers out there in different scientific journals and neurology journals and blogs and that sort of thing, and I'll kind of like aggregate it down to the very best. If it makes the newsletter, it must be something really cool that I think that you might be interested in. Nutrition, fitness. If I find a really good movie, which are hard as hell to find these days, but if I find a really good one, I'll list that in there. It's just cool things that I'm researching and things that I think are good for your brain, your body, your emotions, whatever. That's what the Vitruvian letter is. It's just this whole idea of improving always in all ways, and that's what the Vitruvian letter is. It's me sharing things that I've picked up along the way. So with that, I hope you will subscribe, and I hope you'll subscribe to this channel. So the last review, I think it was the last review, is one of the last posts that I did. I had only 10 subscribers, and now I have 11. I mean, 11 subscribers. How awesome is that? So please join the Vitruvian community and get in this endeavor to improve always and always, and subscribe to the channel. Be number 12. Maybe there'll be a giveaway. Maybe if I could figure out how, maybe leave me a message. Say, I'm subscribing and I'm number 12. And if you do that, I will send you a free copy of Skip the Line or High Performance Habits by Brendon Burchard. Your choice. I will send it to you. So there you go. If you're subscriber number 12, but you have to let me know. All right. Thanks so much for listening to this review, and happy reading. Go improve always and always. I'm out.